Parshas Lech Lecha, dedicated to my beautiful wife Elisheva, saying the shir for the Alis Neshama of Aryeh Leib ben Shmuel, for Pesach bas Dov, for Bracha Tamar bas Aryeh, for Refuah Shleima, for Sarah Rochel bas Itka, Phyllis bas Itka, Shimshon ben Reza, Malka bas Freidel, for Shlomo ben Freidel, for David ben Ilana, for Aryeh ben Leah, for David ben Ruvain, for Bracha Natzlacha, Besoch Shar Chole Israel, for Bracha Natzlacha, for Elisheva Basari, Meretz Tzvi ben Ruvain, Gershon Shlomo ben David, Abraham Beryl, Kalman ben Benzion, Yosef, Moshe ben Yisrael, Yosef Yonatan ben Shmuel, Ber Akiva Gilbert ben Tzvi, for Shmuel Yosef ben Avram, for Zalman Leib ben Avram, for Gil ben Ariel Leib, for Aaron Rafael ben Akiva Gilbert, Rochel bas Akiva Gilbert, Batcha bas Akiva Gilbert, and for Aliyah, for David ben Menachem Mendel, and Azilu for Chana Simcha bas Avram Avinu, and for Osher ben Zion ben Yafa. When we take a look at the Parsha that we're about to read the Shabbos, Parshas Lech Lecha is the beginning of the journey of Avram Avinu, the beginning of his tests, where HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells him to go Lech Lecha, go to yourself, become part of who you are, go internally to see the power and the energy that you have in order to become the father of the Jewish people, to become part of history, and to become a pillar in the universe. And in order for Avram Avinu to be able to prove that he was the man for the job and then he was able to do what he did, there were certain tests that he had to go through. And the word for a test is we call them in Hebrew, it is a nisayon, which is connected to the word nes, which is a miracle or a banner or a flag. And these tests, these banners and flags that were held up by Avram, showed his commitment to the creator of the universe. And one of the trials that was given to him was the trial of the bris milah. It was the 8th of the trials. When Avram was 99 years old, he was given the mitzvah to circumcise himself, and he received this mitzvah before Yitzchak was born, because Hashem wanted Yitzchak to be holy, be born from a holy birth. And Hashem informed Avram, he says, as long as you are uncircumcised, you are imperfect. And by performing bris milah, you will achieve a different level of kedusha. You'll be elevated above what's known as the laws of nature. And the Midrash says that for 20 generations I've waited for you to come and to be able to fulfill this bris milah. And if you refuse to perform this mitzvah, so then Hashem says that I'm going to turn the whole world back to tohu voyu, that the world isn't going to exist. So Avram says to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he says, if this mitzvah is so great, why don't you give it to the first man? Why don't you give it to Adam HaRishon? So Hashem says, don't ask me any further. He says, you are the one who's been found to be worthy of fulfilling this mitzvah. So Avram says to him, until now, I was able to influence people, but now they will be afraid of coming close to me. They won't want to perform bris milah. I'll be separate and different from them. So Hashem says to him, don't worry about that. Know that it will be enough that I shall be your Hashem, and you will not lose out. By performing the mitzvah of bris milah, you will maintain the existence of the whole world, and I will enter into a covenant with you in the merit of this mitzvah. And by observing it, says Hashem to Avram Avinu, your children will not only be connected to holiness, but they will also inherit Eretz Yisrael. And your name is going to change from Avram to Avraham. And until now, you were called the father of Avram, of all the nations, the native lands. And after now, you have a bris. Your name is going to be called Avraham. You are going to have the numerical value of 248 to your name, showing that after bris milah, you've achieved mastery over all of your 240 limbs. And Hashem commanded the mitzvah milah that it should be on all the descendants. Every newborn has to be circumcised when he's 8 days old. And the reason why it's 8 days is because every single child has to experience a Shabbos, and 8 is always connected to the world of miraculous. And Hashem wanted to distinguish His chosen people with a special sign. And He didn't create man physically perfect at birth in order to teach us that just as we must perfect ourselves physically through doing a bris milah, even more important, our task in life is to always be working and improving ourselves spiritually, involving ourselves in order to work on our character traits. And Hashem said to Avram about Sarai, He said, in the past your wife was called Sarai, my princess, denoting that she was a princess in your home. But in the future her name's going to be called Sarah. She's going to be a princess for the entire world. And Hashem, when He removed the letter Yud from the end of Sarah's name, it flew up before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and it complained before the Kisei HaKavod. And Hashem said, just because I'm the smallest of letters, it's argued, and it said, is it fair that you removed me from Sarai? Right? She was such a righteous woman, and now the Yud is being removed from her. So Hashem said to the Yud, don't worry, you'll be comforted. In the past, you were the last letter of a woman's name. But in the future, I will put you at the head of a man's name. And this will happen when Moshe Rabbeinu came along and he mentioned and he renames Yehoshua. He called Hosea, he called him Yehoshua. So Hashem promised both Avram and Sarah that they would regain their youthfulness and that they would bear a son. And Avram fell on his face and he laughed in joy at the miracle that his son would be there in his old age. And he said, I'm unworthy of such a reward. He asked Hashem, he said, how can I be, have such a reward? He said, would it be that Yishmael should live in fear of you? Hashem reaffirmed His promise and told Avram that he has to name his son Yitzchak. Why Yitzchak? Yitzchak means that I will laugh in the future. I will laugh when everything else is there. And all the people over there, when Hashem departed, and he went to go and consult with Aner, Eshkol, and Mamre about the commandment of Bris Milah. And they all had different things as to whether he should do it or he should not do it. And Aner said, you must circumcise yourself secretly, right? So that people don't come and kill you. And Eshkol said to him, don't circumcise yourself at all. It's a dangerous, dangerous operation at your age. And, you might lose too much blood and it will become fatal. And Avram listened to neither of them, and he asked Mamre for his opinion. He said, Hashem saved you miraculously from the fiery furnace. Answered Mamre, He saved you from the kings in a supernatural way. Why do you hesitate to perform this bris milah in public? Hashem rewarded Mamre for his words, and later when he said to Mamre, it's going to be called that he appeared to him where? In the Alonai Mamre. That's where Hashem appeared to him. And he said, that's who should do it. Who should perform this mitzvah, he said, do it for yourself. So Avram took the sword and he was afraid. He was an old man and his arm was trembling and he said, I'm old. He said to Hashem. Hashem then seemingly stretched out his arm and he took the sword together with Avram together until the circumcision was finished and completed. And they did it together. Avram together with Hashem. And Avram circumcised himself in daylight, broad daylight, in front of everyone, in front of the household. There were 318 men, right, which wasn't even counting any of the slaves that were there. And his students, Aner, Eshkol, and Mamre, were among those who were also circumcised. And Avram's son Yishmael was 13 years old when Avram was said to him, now go and perform bris milah. And so this bris milah is what we've held on to. It's been something that our children and our parents and everyone has held on to for generations. And it's the covenant that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given us. It's the covenant to always imbue ourselves with holiness and with connection to the Creator of the universe. So please God, we should take the message of the bris milah, the leadership of Avram Avinu, of what he did in his life, of Sarai, who became Sarah, and learn from them what it is to serve Hashem in all of His glory, to fulfill the commandments, to fulfill the bris, the covenant of connecting ourselves to Hashem, because we are the Am Segula, and we are the ones who Hashem has chosen to be able to become part of this destiny. Wishing you all a very, very good Shabbos.